Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
Sorry, I was muted. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center. I am Reverend Derek, and excited to have another Sunday service with you, where we'll have a spiritual talk on the power of faith, a continuation of the book, the series we're doing this month called The Law of Divine Compensation from the Marianne Williamson book by the same name. So super excited to be able to continue what we've been talking about, we started talking about last week with the law of divine compensation. We will circle back to that here in just a moment. I do want to start with talking to you a little bit about the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center, who we are and what we do. You can get more information about us at loveisgreaterthanfear.org after the service this morning. But I do want to take a moment and tell you just a little bit about who we are. So we are a virtual spiritual center founded by me, Reverend Derek, just last year. It's been like 5 months since we started the center. As soon as I became an ordained ministerial counselor through the Pathways of Light Spiritual College, I was like, let's start a church. We do Sunday talks and meditations based on the universal themes of A Course in Miracles every Sunday at 10 o'clock Pacific time. Our vision is to be a spiritual place for personal and planetary awakening. And our mission to support awakening by living and teaching universal spiritual principles of love, peace, and joy. We do this by offering classes, workshops, and counseling that promotes the healing and transformation necessary for our personal and planetary awakening. What do we teach? All right. Well, me personally, I'm a student of a book called A Course in Miracles. You will hear me talk about A Course in Miracles a lot. You will always hear me talk about Marianne Williamson a lot. But let's take a look. You might have a different faith. You might have a different path. But a lot of what I believe and what I teach is found in many of the great religious traditions. So number one, we believe that God is our Father and source, and that all of his children are one and equal. We believe that God is eternally speaking to and guiding us. We believe that miracles are natural and are our birthright. And we believe that miracles are shifts in perception from fear to love, and that there is absolutely no order of difficulty in miracles, meaning one is not harder than another. Prayer and meditation will transform any life. No matter who you are, no matter what you've done, no matter what you believe or what you've been through, prayer and meditation will absolutely help transform your life. And we believe that love, peace, and the act of forgiveness are our purposes here on earth. And last but not least, when one of us awakens, the entire planet heals. That's why the center is dedicated to personal and planetary awakening. Um, Jumped ahead, sorry. My slides are being weird this morning. There we go. Okay. So who is welcome? So I thought it'd be important to touch on this. I know when I first showed up to a spiritual center, I was a little nervous because I didn't know if I would be welcome. It doesn't matter who you are here at the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center. All of God's children are welcome, regardless of your gender, your race, your sexual orientation, nationality, religious background, political background, whatever it might be, any seeming difference, it doesn't matter. Everyone is welcome. We believe that all of God's children deserve a life of peace, love, freedom, and creative expression. On top of that, we believe in dismantling of the thought systems of fear that would hinder any person's purpose on earth. We believe in love and equality for all. So I've got a mantra for us to say together this morning. So if you feel comfortable, I invite you to speak this mantra out loud. There is power in speaking our faith. Say it with me. Today, I choose to see peace. I surrender my personal will to God, that He may show me the path to my highest and greatest good. So before we hop into today's talk, I do want to take a moment and have a couple announcements and also let you know if you feel like you need a little extra spiritual guidance after the talk, there are a variety of ways for us to get connected and for you to get that spiritual guidance. One of those ways is our prayer ministry. So if you've got something going on in your life, financial challenges, health challenges, relationship challenges, whatever it might be, prayer is the medium of miracles. If you need a miracle, you need prayer, go over to our website, loveisgreaterthanfear.org, and you will see our prayer ministry right under services, and fill out that form, and someone here at the community will pray for you every day for 30 days. On top of that, the Love is Greater Than Fear Spiritual Center offers 2 ongoing classes. Both of these are 8-week spiritual transformation programs. They utilize a variety of workbook exercises, meditations, via a live teleconference call. I offer a class called Spiritual Awakening and one called Healing the Inner Child. If you want to get more information about our classes, again, head over to loveisgreaterthanfear.org and click on our classes. On top of that, if you have something like really, really up and you feel like you could use some counseling, we have our Accessing Inner Wisdom counseling on our website as well. I want to take a moment and talk about this a little bit. So traditional like spiritual life coaching and counseling is us sitting down and talking about what's going on with you and looking for some spiritual solutions. Accessing Inner Wisdom is very different. This is actually a 60-minute meditative process in which you are guided through a meditation to access your own inner wisdom. So you can find the solutions to whatever is going on for you. I've personally experienced this process with my colleagues, and it's very powerful. If you have some area where you're just really confused, if you have some area where you're suffering, if you're experiencing like any problems, accessing inner wisdom counseling is very, very powerful. This is $75 for one session. Nobody is turned away due to inability to pay. If you do want to get more information, again, loveisgreaterthanfear.org, and you can get all that information, or you can just DM me. You can also find us on social media. So we are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We post daily mantras on there. Be sure to go check us out on social media after the service. And of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that internet stuff for us. That would be great. And last but not least, right now we are raising money to help fund our nonprofit status. So thanks to your donations, we have raised $345 of our $1,100 goal. So we got started a few months ago, and the next step for us as a spiritual center is to become a legit nonprofit, get that 501c3, and the benefits and perks that are come with that and helping us expand and grow our ministry. So if you feel that our ministry has been of service to you and you want to help support this message, we have a GoFundMe that you can donate to. It is pinned to the top of our Facebook page. And that's it for the announcement pieces. So good morning. We're going to start with our morning prayer, and then we're going to go into our talk and meditation. So if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And dear God, we invite you into our minds and hearts this morning, that you may enter and remind us of who we are, why we're here, and any insights that we need to receive today. Dear God, I bless this time together for this spiritual service, for this talk and meditation, that whoever needs to hear this message hears it. Whatever needs to be said is said. Whatever needs to be felt is felt. Whatever needs to be experienced is experienced. I bless everyone who tunes in today, that they may have a miraculous day and a miraculous year. On top of that, I bless everyone who is gathered today to worship the God of their understanding, whether they are celebrating Ramadan in a mosque, or if they're celebrating at a church this morning, or if they celebrated at a temple yesterday. Whoever they are, wherever they are on their spiritual journey, we bless them, we honor them, we love and respect them, knowing that despite the many paths to God, they all lead to the same place. Take a nice deep breath. And together we say, Amen. So I can always take a nap after a prayer. I am excited for us to be together this morning, as always, but I'm super excited about today because today we get to talk about the power of faith. So we've been exploring the Marianne Williamson book, The Law of Divine Compensation. That's this book right here. And the reason I wanted to talk about the law of divine compensation this month is that our annual theme is a year of miracles, right? A year of miracles. We've been talking about our spiritual journey. We've been talking about relationships. We've been talking about the power of our mind and the way it impacts the world around us, and how we can have a miracle mindset that will help us not necessarily create the life that we want, but reveal the life that God would have us live, which is always going to be a better life than anything we could imagine on our own. And in my life, I have found that there has been nothing more frustrating than the areas of career, work, purpose, and money. Those seem to be the most frustrating places for me and for a lot of people. So I wanted to explore the topics and the principles of the law of divine compensation for that reason. It's an area where where a lot of people need more peace and they need more abundance. Interesting facts about this book. So this was written and released around the 2008 recession. Marianne Williamson wrote it to help guide people at that time who were losing jobs and going through financial crises and everything that happened in 2008. And it was interesting. I picked it back up during COVID because during COVID, my finances, my job, everything was up in the air because of how COVID affected my industry. I work in phone sales, and there were just some things you couldn't really sell anymore during COVID, and it was a very challenging time. So I myself had to return to these principles of this book so that I could turn my life around and get a miracle, which I did, and I'll come back to here in a moment. Before we go in too much further, I do want to recap what exactly is the law of divine compensation. So I'm sure you're familiar with the law of attraction that says that if you think about something enough, you will get that thing. Now, that is true. If you think about a certain amount of money and get yourself on that vibration, you will more than likely attract that amount of money, that job, that career, that relationship, whatever it might be. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that was that thing you attract is for your greatest good. That's often something you in your own ego mind decided to attract to yourself. And that's not the highest spiritual mountaintop. The highest spiritual mountaintop is, dear God, what would you have me have? Because God is always going to have better ideas, greater resources. God can see tomorrow. You cannot see tomorrow. And that's why choosing your own goals is such a challenging thing spiritually, is because often when we select our own goals, often it's from our own childhood wound. Often it's from our own sense of lack and our own clutching and needing. So the law of divine compensation is pretty different. Let me pop up on the screen. So from the book, it says, to whatever extent your mind is aligned with love, you will receive divine compensation for any lack in your material existence. From spiritual substance will come material manifestation. This is the law of divine compensation. So what Marianne is telling us right here, and what A Course in Miracles would also say in other words, and the same thing for the Bible and so on and so forth, just in different words, is that any area of our life where we are lacking, you could be lacking in money, your career, maybe you're looking for a job, maybe you have a health problem, maybe you're looking for a significant other, whatever it might be. To whatever extent your mind is aligned with love, you're going to be divinely compensated. The problem is when we don't have, when our mind is not aligned with love and it's aligned with fear, that's where we experience the lack. Marianne goes on to say that with every thought we think, we either summon or block a miracle. Oops, we're going to come back to that one in just a moment. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is that a lot of us are probably going through some experience where we feel like we need more, okay? And so law of divine compensation is basically just telling us, if in that area, instead of trying to focus on exactly what you want and how you want things to be, if you can get in the flow of divine love, and if you can, when it comes to money, when it comes to your work, when it comes to your career, when it comes to relationships, if you can mentally abide in a place of love and peace and joy, then you will attract whatever is for your own highest, greatest good. Now, the problem with that is often we struggle with that shift from fear to love. It's really easy to look at the ways of the world and get stuck in what the world says is true about you, what the world says is true about the job market, what the world says is true about your abilities, your talents, your skills, and what is possible. And when we fall into that type of thinking, what we've actually done is placed our faith in fear. And today we're talking about the power of faith and how the power of faith activates the law of divine compensation. That by having faith in God, faith in love, faith in a solution, we create miracles in our life and everything can begin to transform. Now, faith is an interesting word. I did not grow up in a religious household. There wasn't much talk about God in my household. My experience of religion was seeing other people's experience of religion and hearing other people talk about faith. To me, it just sounded like this silly thing. To me, I couldn't understand what they meant when they talked about God. I had some religious family members. I didn't understand what they meant when they talked about God. I didn't understand what this word faith actually meant. And I found in my own life that faith is kind of like betrayal and mercy and some other experiences that you know the words, but until you've experienced them, you don't really get them. And for me in my life, there was a time where I had a faith crisis and just had a spiritual experience that happened for me. And finally, I was like, whoa, I get what faith is. I want to share with you a quote from the book. Actually, no, I want to share with you first. So I looked up on the dictionary to see what it said about faith, okay? To give us some context, because before we talk about faith, like what is faith? According to Merriam-Webster, gave us a couple definitions: allegiance to a duty or person, belief in the traditional doctrines of religion, firm belief in something for which there is no proof, and then finally, complete trust. I like that last one, complete trust. I don't like those other three definitions. And what's interesting is I was doing a little research looking at the word and where it came from. In the Hebrew language, and often in the Bible, there's a word used called emunah. I might not have pronounced that correctly. Translated into English, it kind of means like faith or belief. But what's interesting about the Hebrew word for faith is that it's not just an act of having faith right here, having faith right now. It is an ongoing faith. It is a way of living. It's better translated as ultimate faith. It's a lifestyle, not single actions. I found that quite beautiful when I found that online today. Now, I do want to share with you some things that Marianne Williamson says about faith. Wow, these slides, it won't let me go to it. Faith, there we go. Faith is not just a theological principle. It is a mental and emotional muscle. Let me say that again. Faith is not just a theological principle. It is a mental and emotional muscle. I love that idea of faith. She goes on to say that faith isn't blind, it is visionary. So I think of faith like this. Let's say you are a pilot, okay? And you're flying a plane and you have low visibility for whatever reason. It's night out, there's clouds, there's a storm, whatever there might be. Now, if you're this pilot, are you gonna panic that the horizon has disappeared and that you can't see one? Are you gonna panic and assume there is no horizon? Absolutely not. You're gonna rely on instruments that can see what you cannot see. So a pilot and their own human eyes are so limited with what they can see in the sky. But they have instruments and tools at their disposal that lets them know what's ahead. Faith is not being able to see the horizon, but knowing it is still there. Faith is, I have a problem, I can't see the solution, but I know a solution exists. Faith is, I can't pay my rent, but I know there is a solution, and I will keep my mind on that. Faith is, I am lonely, I'm looking for a partner, I can't see the horizon, but that does not mean it doesn't exist. I have faith, and I believe there is someone out there for me. Faith is having a health crisis, and the doctor giving you a report that says that this is happening, and that is happening, and maybe you're terminally ill. But faith is, God has given me a different report. And just because I can't see the horizon does not mean it's not there. That is just logical, my friends. Just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. I like what Marianne says in the book about faith being a muscle. So spiritual muscles are just like physical muscles. If you don't take care of your physical muscles, at a certain age, they begin to deteriorate and they don't, and you better be careful, right? Faith is a muscle too. And if you aren't working it out, that muscle, then over time, it's going to be harder and harder to maintain faith. It's kind of like, so in the sense of physical exercises, in physical exercises, we work against gravity to build muscle. Spiritual exercises and faith are the same exact thing, except the gravity that we are working against is fear. So when an opportunity comes up to be afraid and we choose to see the horizon, believe in the horizon, that exercises our muscle of faith. And that makes it so much more easy for us to be mentally receptive to the miracle impulses that are happening all around us. Now, here's what's interesting about this. Faith is also an aspect of consciousness. There is nobody who lacks faith. It is an aspect of consciousness. Every single person on this planet has faith, and every single person who's ever lived has faith, and anyone who ever lives will have faith. But the question is, where are you placing your faith? Are you placing your faith in fear, in what the world tells you? Are you placing your faith in the past, your personal hurts, your traumas, your stories? Are you placing your faith in your anxiety and your depression? Are you placing your faith in your bank account balance? Are you placing your faith in your skills and your abilities? Or are you placing your faith in what God says is true about you? Are you placing your faith in love? Are you placing your faith in there being a solution? Are you placing your faith in the kindness of other people? Are you placing your faith that even though you might have lost your job, or you might have lost some money, or you're looking for resources to start a new business venture, do you have faith that the horizon is still there and that a solution will come? This is the choice that we have every day. The thinking of the world is 180 degrees away from the thinking of God. And we can place our attention, i.e., our faith, into the things of fear or into the things of love. So let's say you have a health problem going on right now. Where are you placing your faith? Is it in what the doctor says? Is it in your own fears? Is it in the medicine? Is it in what could happen? What could go wrong? Where are you placing your faith? And by your faith, I mean your attention. What are you giving your attention to? All the different ways this illness could go wrong, this health problem could go wrong. Are you beating yourself up for some responsibility you might have in it? Are you beating yourself up because you're struggling to have faith in love and healing? Are you giving in to anger? Are you giving in to a negative sense of self, maybe thinking thoughts like, I knew this would happen? Like, what are you thinking when it comes to faith in a health situation? Because the way to act in that situation is to have faith in love and have faith that there is a solution and that there is a horizon that is coming, that it has not disappeared. So what do we do in a situation like that where we might have a health issue? Yes, what the doctor says might be a fact, but there's a difference between facts and truth. There's what the doctor says, there's what the medical report says. There's what your own fears and anxieties say. There's what other people that have had that illness might say. Those are facts, but facts and truth are not the same thing. The truth is that you are a child of God, that within you exists the perfect pattern of health, wholeness, and healing, that within you exists perfection, love, peace. It's like an acorn seed. An acorn seed will grow into a beautiful oak tree. It doesn't have to have faith that it will grow into an oak tree. It just will. And the only difference between us and that acorn seed is that that acorn seed can't say no to the divine flow. We can. When we put our faith in fear, whether it's a health issue or whatever it might be, we are interrupting that perfection, that pattern, that flow, that energy of God that moves through and in and as your being and knows the solution for your health challenge, that knows who the right doctor might be, what the right medication might be, what the right book might be. And it's so important that when things are happening, that when we're in a crisis like that, that we shift our perception from fear to love so we can have a miracle. And that is the power of faith. Let's say that you are you're looking for a job, right? You're looking for a job, maybe you lost it during the pandemic, maybe your industry completely changed, and now you are jobless. Let's just say that's you, for example. That might be somebody watching today. You've lost your job. It would be so easy to say, wow, I can't believe this happened again. The job market is going down. Nobody's hiring, or nobody's paying well enough, or I'm too experienced. I'm not experienced enough. I don't have the right skills. You can go down into that negative thinking, and you can go down that for a long time, and you can go really, really far with that thinking. And that is putting your faith in fear. That is putting your faith in the things of the physical world and allowing it to tell you who you are and what is possible. But you are not of this world, you are of God. The universe has created you in perfection. And so if you are someone who is looking for a job right now, faith and love looks like, I know a solution is out there. I know I am talented. I know I am skilled. I know that God will support me. God will supply for me. God will put me in the right path for the next employment opportunity. I know that God is my source. I know that my true being's function is just to show up in every situation as love and loving others. That is my real job. That is when things shift for you. When you stop thinking about your job, your career, your work as your source and as your eternal employment. And remember that your only function on this earth is to be love. And yeah, you might think, Derek, that's not going to fix things. That's not going to get me a job, but it will. Because when you reside in the energy of, my only function is to love, to show up, love everyone in every situation, to listen to God, ask where he would have me go, what he would have me do, what he would have me say, and to whom. When you just fall into that energy and free yourself of fearful thinking, that energy within you will create the job. Remembering your true job, your true purpose, your true function will by default create a new job in your external life. The moment you remember it internally, it begins to shift the external. This is why when I talked about how when we manifest miracles every week, every Sunday, we manifest miracles in two places typically. First, in our mind, right? We got to shift from fear to love. And once we do that, it creates a miracle in our outside world. Things are created twice, always. Think about the chair you're sitting in right now. That chair was first a thought in someone's mind, and then it was created. Same thing is true with whatever is going on with you. If you can remember the truth of who you are, the truth of your function, your purpose, your job, your career on this planet, if you can remember that truth, if you can remember that you don't really have a body, you have a spirit, if you can remember that love is your divine inheritance and love is who you are, then your lover is going to show up. That's the laws of the universe. If you can remember that you don't have a body and that your spirit is all you need, then the healing will show up. A book will fall off and hit your head at the bookstore that has a diet or something that will help you out with your health problem. A friend will refer you to a doctor. Something will happen. The right medication will show up, whatever it might be. Solutions will begin to happen for you. But it happens when we begin to shift our thinking from fear to love, and we stop putting our faith, and our faith is powerful, and our faith is our attention to things. If we can stop putting it in fear and the ways of the world and put it into love, everything will transform. And to the extent, as Marianne Williamson says, that your mind is lit up with love in all these situations and in all these scenarios, you will be divinely compensated by the very God that has created you, that can do things you cannot do. You, for one moment, can't beat your heart on yourself. You can't breathe on your own. You can't live on your own. It is the Spirit, the eternal Spirit that moves through in and as you, that does that for you. And it can do so much. It's the same power that has put the stars in the sky, that keeps our planet spinning at the perfect speed, on the perfect tilt, at the perfect, distance from the sun for all of life to abound on our planet. God is an infinitely wisdom presence that abides deeply within every single one of us at all times. The world tells us something completely, radically different, but we must be vigilant against those thought forms. against talking like that, against believing like that, and how much of that we let into our mind. We must be vigilant against it. And we must speak with conviction our faith in love. I wanted to share something with you guys today about faith. And I know that faith isn't always easy to have when you're in challenging situations. So when COVID started, I was working for a software company, and the software we were selling, you couldn't really sell in the COVID world. We were selling this B2B software, and nobody was at the businesses anymore. Everyone was at home working, and the software just was not going to work. It was hard to sell, and so life got really stressful for me. And I kept affirming every day that if I'm meant to be somewhere else, God will guide me, God will guard me, God will direct me. And it was just a couple weeks after COVID started, and this is 2 years ago, that a friend of mine referred me for another job, and I got that job within just a couple days. This huge weight was lifted off of my shoulders because I couldn't do that other job anymore. It was impacting my finances. It just wasn't a good fit for me. She told me about this job. I applied, I got the job. I worked there for a year. I loved so much of it, and it financially took care of me during a lot of COVID. But then when the Delta variant came out about a year ago or so, it impacted that job. I was working in matchmaking, and we were setting up dates, and it was really hard to do that when people were afraid of COVID. And so it happened again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was like, dear God, I can't do this anymore. I can't have my money constantly being messed with by the things of this physical world. What do I do here? And then I remembered that my divine function, that my purpose on life was just to show up and be love. So I started practicing that. I showed up and I was love every day. I was love every day. I loved everyone I interacted with. I loved my job. I sent love to everyone. I just lived in that place. And even though it was scary and I could tell employment was coming to an end because I wasn't selling, because it was so hard to sell at that time and sell that product, I just lived in that energy. I lived and I abided and I lived in that energy. And then one day I told God, I was like, I'm ready to move on from this, and I need these 5 things in a job. I told him how much I needed, what kind of work I was willing to do. I made a list of 5 things. I'm like, this is what it has to be. And I just gave it to him. I woke up one morning. I was like, oh, that job is available now. And this was like a month later, actually a couple months later. I was like, that job's available right now. I had this miracle impulse to go find that job. I went and found it. I applied. I had that within 30 days. And that was a miracle for me, because the money I'm making there and the things I'm able to do with this job and the experience I'm having it's such a miracle compared to what I had at previous jobs. The moment I corrected in my mind and truly realized that my purpose on life is to be love and to love one another and recognize anything that's not love as a call for love, the moment I really, really, really got that deep down, things in my life completely changed. And that was the power of faith. So if you're looking for a job, if you're struggling to get your career off the ground, if whatever it is, if you need more money, whatever it is, the Holy Spirit, here's the thing. I don't know if this is an exact line from A Course in Miracles, but the Course in Miracles would tell you that the Holy Spirit knows how much your rent is. It knows how much your debt is. It knows how much it costs for you to live. It knows all of that. So if you can begin to surrender, then you will begin to create more miracles in your life. Now, I do recognize that this is not easy. So I want to leave you guys with with a powerful thing to think about in your attempt to shift your perception from fear to love and create miracles in your life. And that is, what is your core belief? So I'm going to take a moment, okay? And I'm going to assume if you're watching this, you have something's up for you, okay? It might not be money, it might not be work, or anything we're talking about today. It could be something else, could be relationships, whatever it might be. Call to mind whatever that thing is. I want you to ask yourself that even in this situation, what is a core belief of yours that you know to ultimately be true? A belief, a faithful attitude, something you can lean into that you don't doubt, that you absolutely know is true. That, like, deep down in your DNA, deep down in your blood, deep down in your heart, you know this thought, this belief, this idea to be true. Now, for me personally, I was asked that question about 10 years ago. I was working for a personal development coach, and she asked me that question. I thought about it. And I told her, I was like, no matter what happens in my life, things always work out for me. Maybe not the way I wanted them to, maybe not in the timeline I wanted it to work out, but things always work out for me. Now, that conversation when we had it, it wasn't about faith, but that very much is about faith. That's the cornerstone of my faith for myself. That it might be hard for me to think I can make this kind of money over here, and it might be hard for me to think I can attract this kind of partner. It might be hard for me to think various things, but at the end of the day, I know that things always work out for me. I know that without a doubt. Not anything could happen in my life today. Anything could happen tomorrow. I know that things always work out for me. And if you can find your baseline of faith, it's going to be a powerful place for you to live, a powerful place for you to breathe, a powerful place for you to have your being. And you might find that as your faith is increasing and improving, that thought might change. But I recommend you finding whatever your cornerstone belief is when it comes to faith. It might be very similar to mine. Things always work out for me. If that feels true for you, take that one. If not, spend some time thinking about it this week. What is my cornerstone for faith? What is my baseline? So we are going to get ready to move into our morning meditation and prayer. And this is how we activate the law of divine compensation. We activate it by spending some time in silence, turning within towards our true essence of love. Because when we place our attention on that love, miracles happen. The rest of the day, you're going to have your eyes open. You're going to be seeing things. You're going to be reading things, checking your bank account, thinking about work tomorrow, whatever it might be. And it's so important that we take time to focus on having our faith be on love. Because later today, if something happens, it's going to help build that spiritual muscle, that faith muscle, so that you don't get swept under by the thinking of the world and the negative realities. So we're going to go ahead and move into our meditation now. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes, get comfortable in your seat. And I invite you to take a couple nice deep breaths. In through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth. And after you've taken a couple nice deep breaths, just let your breathing return to normal. Just focus on relaxing our body, our scalp, the muscles around our eyes, relaxing down through our throat, our chest, feeling a deep calm move through our arms, down through our legs, into our hands and toes. And letting any thoughts we have just come and go. Letting any sounds we hear just push us further into our meditation. We're just going to be still for a moment. No judgment. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Just continuing to focus on our breathing. And so I invite you to call to mind any place where you're lacking faith today. Anywhere you're not at peace, doesn't matter what it is, just let it come to mind. Whatever has appeared, that will do. So, dear God, we invite you into our minds and hearts this morning. Acknowledge your indwelling presence, your love, your power, your strength. And dear God, there are a place or two or more where each of us are not at peace, where we struggle to have faith, where we have mistakenly in our humanness placed our faith in the ways of the world, in bank accounts, talents, skills, body shapes, things the world says, so-called facts. It is so human to do this, dear God, but we know that facts and truth are not the same thing. And we ask you here, as we feel you so closely and so deeply within our minds and hearts, that in these areas where we have placed our faith in fear, we ask you to be that bridge, O Holy Spirit, and guide us, guard us, direct us, help us to withdraw our faith in fear and our faith in the physical world, so that those areas may improve as we place our faith in love, God, our faith in you, our faith in solutions, our faith in the power that exists right here, right now within us. Each one of us surrenders to you whatever situation is on our mind and heart this morning, that you will create a miracle for us. We let it go. We let it be. We say together, Amen. So as you feel comfortable, go ahead and start to bring your attention back to the room. And so I just have a couple quick announcements before we go. This is a beautiful quote I didn't get to. I'm going to read it to you now. Putting love first means knowing that the universe supports you in creating the good, the holy, and the beautiful. It means knowing that you're on earth for a purpose, and that purpose itself will create opportunities for its accomplishment. I'm going to post these on Facebook this week, guys, if you like these. If you are looking for next steps on your spiritual path, remember that you can go to loveisgreaterthanfear.org. You can check out our Accessing Inner Wisdom counseling sessions, our Spiritual Awakening and Healing the Inner Child classes as well. If you have any questions about any of that, just DM me. And as always, our center is exists because of your generous donations. You guys have been so helpful in supporting this ministry. And this next step for us is to get our nonprofit status. We've raised $345 of our $1,100 goal so far. You can get the details on our Facebook page, or you can make a donation to at Love is Greater Center on PayPal. And then we are going to say today's mantra again together. So everyone say this with me. Today, I choose to see peace. I surrender my personal will to God that he may show me the path to my highest and greatest good. So we will be back next Sunday at 10 o'clock Pacific time. We're going to be talking about your divine inheritance. So we talk about, that we are love, our true nature is abundance, it is peace. We talk about all of that all the time. And yet so many of us don't actually experience that. So next week, we're going to be talking about your divine inheritance and the 3 things that block you from having your highest, greatest good. So next week, we'll be continuing exploring the law of divine compensation with a talk entitled Your Divine Inheritance. And again, if I didn't say the website enough already, if you want more information, go to loveisgreaterthanfear.org, and you can also make a donation via PayPal at Love is Greater Center. So I appreciate all of you for showing up today. I'm excited to see where everything goes with us, and to hear back, what happens for you this week. Definitely DM me, comment on something, email me, let me know if you're experiencing miracles in your life. It's so powerful when we share the miracles that are going on with us. So I will see you next Sunday. Until then, love yourself, love one another. Bye, guys.